Hi, welcome to Phase Out. Just wanted to do a little video on things I wish I knew before I started riding. Prior to my Kawasaki 650, I had a Honda CG 125, which I absolutely adored. Rode that for about 4 years, but way before that, my dad has always had bikes, and so is his dad. It's always kind of running the family. I used to ride on the tank, and as I got older, I used to progress to pillion. So I was pillion for quite a few years, and then I got my 125 at the age of 21. And then at the age of 27, I got my big girl bike, my Z650, which I absolutely love. I adore this bike. But there are a few things that I wish that I knew when I was riding my 125, but also it's very helpful to know whilst riding the bigger bikes. So with clothing, very important. On my 125, I used to ride in jeans. I looked great on them. However, if I was to have an accident, I wouldn't slide, I'd just hit the floor and it would be a whole new skin graft, even at 30 miles an hour. So there are jeans that you can buy. There are also leggings that you can get as well. There are winter and summer coats. So back in the day, it used to just be full leathers, but now we're sort of playing about with materials in this new age, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I have my summer jacket, which I've now retired for the years, it's getting colder, and swapped it for my full leather. Now, when buying jackets, do make sure that they're not just a showy jacket. By that I mean basically it needs to have padding in the elbows, also needs to have padding in the shoulders. Not all of them do, but people like Damies, where they do their track sort of clothing, they will have it in the shoulders, in the back, which, you know, there needs to be at least a pocket where you can put your own padding in there. Earplugs are also very important. So for every 10 minutes you have irreversible hearing damage. So just make sure that you have your earplugs in, you have the correct and suitable clothing, and also with crash helmets. So this is the crash helmet that I use. I prefer the full face one purely because everything's protected. You can get ones that just cover your head, whereas your chin is very much on show. This covers everything, so I would recommend a full face. Other options are obviously available, but I feel you have better protection with these if you're to come off of your motorbike. Make sure that you have the right gear with you, so always make sure you have a puck. So this is just basically slots under the side stands, just to give it a bit of an even surface. So if you're on gravel, you're on grass, if you put your bike stand on grass, it's going to sink very quickly, your bike's going to go over, it's going to be a nightmare to pick up. So just make sure you keep that in your breast pocket of your jacket, and you can't go too far wrong. What I've done is I've got one for my leather jacket and I've got one for my summer jacket. So if I pick one up, I've definitely got one with me at all times. I have been caught out before. It has been a bit of a nightmare, but I have crushed sort of a can, or you know, a can of beer or something, obviously with no beer in it, and just put it underneath, and it's been okay. The one from Oxford that I use is magnetic, so it does feel a little bit safer. When riding, make sure you look at where you want to go. So when you're coming round to a corner, for example a roundabout, and you come round that roundabout, instead of looking that way, you need to look across, so your bike will follow you to where you want to go. If you're looking down all the time, that's where your arms are going to stay. So you need to look where you want to go and just follow the road. Keep to the speed that you're comfortable with. So I would recommend avoiding groups where they like their speed, because when you're in a group, the rider at the front is the one who decides what speed they want to do. Everybody at the back tends to be doing a speed that is either too quick for them, that they don't want to do but they need to keep up, or is a bit too slow and they're getting a little bit impatient. So I would avoid that if possible. But when you do ride in a group, you've got to have one bike here and so on. So if the bike in front of you stops, you've got your bike, so you've got somebody here, you've got the second bike here and the third bike. If you're the third and the second bike stops, that's fine, because the fourth bike has got enough gap to stop before he goes into the back of them, and the same with the first. If he was to, or she was to emergency stop, you've got enough time to stop your bike before there's an accident. On my 125 I had an experience where I didn't know how to handle gravel. So what happened was, me and a friend went onto his gravel drive, and I pulled the front brake. Now when you're on gravel, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to touch the brakes, you just want to ease off the throttle, keep your feet down so you're basically walking the bike, and then it won't lose out from underneath you. That scarred me for a while. Terrified gravel, and I'm still a little bit uneasy on it now. I like to avoid it where I can, but don't let it affect you. That is one of the biggest things. Don't let anything hold you back. Just make sure that you do things sensibly. So as I say, when you come onto the gravel, nice and slow, clutch control, don't touch the brakes, because your front brake is your suspension, then your rear brake, you can lose the back tyre. So just walk it using clutch control. If you see somebody out on the road and they haven't seen you, for example, a car has pulled out in front of you, one, you need to be making aware of your surroundings. So you need to know what he's doing before he knows what he's doing. Normally, I don't know how we know, but we tend to know that someone's going to pull out, whether they've looked too quickly or they've not even looked your way, and you see that front tyre slowly moving forward. You either need to stop, or if it's getting too close, sound your horn and do an avoidance manoeuvre if possible, if the lane coming the other side is free. But you should have really spotted that before you would have had to do an avoidance manoeuvre, hopefully. Don't get upset, it's not personal. He's just not, or she has just not seen you. You know, it's done. Don't lose your cool over it. Don't start kicking wing mirrors. It doesn't end very well. Likelihood is you'll kick the wing mirror, you knock yourself off balance, you've written the bike off, and you've got a really bruised leg. Depending on the speed, maybe broken it. So that's another thing to consider. Going to be doing over 100 miles an hour. Don't expect anybody to see you. There's no room for error. So Mark and I went out recently. We were on the way to Bury St Edmunds to a bike meet. What happened was I didn't see him. I only heard him as he come flying past me. I looked in his direction and just saw the back end of his tyre as he went flying through the villages. Now, if I had pulled out, or I'd been, you know, pushed into the road by the wind or anything, I would have gone into the side of him. I periodically check my mirrors, so I'm checking them every sort of 20 seconds just to make sure that I know what's going on behind me. I didn't see him, I only heard him, and it was too late, he'd gone. If a car is at a junction, they look again, there's no one there, they're then going to pull out, and all of a sudden you're there. Another thing to consider, so when you are riding out on the road, if, for example, you didn't see a pothole and you've hit it, everything's fine, you've not burst a tyre, that's great, but it sort of frustrated you that you've, you know, what was that, what have I hit? You've turned around, and then you've looked forward, and then there's somebody there, you know, your hazards are in front of you, you've hit that hazard, or you've avoided what could have been a big problem by hitting the pothole, or, you know, veering and missing something, etc. Your hazard is now in front of you. So if there's a parked car in front of you, for example, because you've been keeping an eye on what's behind you and wondering what's happened behind you, you're going to go into the back of it. So just always keep an eye out for where the hazard is. If you're on a roundabout and it's congested and you're trying to filter through onto the right lane, there's no need to do a Lifesaver behind you. Just keep looking forward to where the hazard is. And that's another big thing. So Lifesavers, this has always been drilled into me, and I want to drill it into you. So with the Lifesaver, it is what it says on the tin. Just before you change lanes, you know, just have a quick look over your shoulder. Yes, we're safe, because although the mirrors are great, we do have quite a large blind spot. So just check those. So that's changing direction, that's changing lane, To be honest, I do a quick look anyway, just so I know exactly what's going on, but that's only if it's safe to do so. So if the road ahead of me is completely clear and there was a car behind me that I can't see anymore in my mirrors, I will have a quick glance. He's there, it's fine, he's also seen me. Thank you for watching the video today, and if you have any questions, anything I've not covered, if you just want to chat about what bike you've got, do drop it in the comments. Thank you.